What's up, fellas? We are back with the After Action Workshop. My boys are back in town here. Chris, you are up in the first of all, you take that hat off and burn it. That's number one. You burn that damn thing off. So that's first thing. No, but Chris, man, you're up in New York, I believe, where it is like the frozen tundra right now. You out there doing the good work, brother. Tell me what's going on.
So we got so we're doing a training for it's a national FOP training, Power and Peers. I was part of the folks that helped create it, and we're up here in Lake George, trying to train new trainers so that they can teach, so I don't have to do it anymore. So they can go out and do what they got to do. But yeah, it's cold as shit up here. It is. This morning it was at like 4 degrees. But it warmed up. It's 20 degrees now, so it's
Cool.
yeah,
Heat wave.
It's super hot.
Yeah, heat wave coming through over there. Yeah, man. So doing the good work with Power and Peers is just an amazing work that's going on. Standardizing things around the country. Hopefully getting everybody in the same sheet of music, man. So great work. And I know we're getting up on a tangent here, but if anybody needs to know more about that, reach out to us. We can definitely put you in the, point you in the right direction, and we get you in touch with Chris to make sure that comes to your area. So that's our plug there for that, man. So Doug, my brother, you're not in a place where it's quite that cold, but you are heading that way tomorrow, brother. What's been going on with you?
No, man, I've been on Christmas detail, decorating the house for Karen, and all the kids are coming home for Christmas, and I've had like a week or two home. I think. How long we been home? Like 2 weeks.
About 2 weeks, yeah, about 2 weeks, man.
Yeah, and so just getting ready for Syracuse, leaving for Syracuse in the morning. Really not looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And so, listen, man, every time we get sent somewhere, the three of us, you always think of the area. So I have to go talk to cops from the area of Syracuse, New York. So I look and I research the area because I want to know what kind of stress, what kind of crime, what kind of punishment are these guys withstanding in Syracuse. And I didn't even make it 30 seconds into my research, and I just saw the fucking weather. And I said, that's their problem right there. If they have any trauma, it's either from the abominable snowman or some shit like that. So that's what we're in store for in the next couple of days. And
yeah, man, I'm in the same boat. I'll be traveling with you tomorrow. Heading up to another frozen tundra up in Syracuse, where it's, I think, in the teens right now. It's just finished snowing.
-2 degrees right now. No, -4 degrees.
Bro, I was sweating my ass off cutting my grass this morning.
Yeah, we're not. I was just telling the guys I've been stressed. I feel tired because I've been stressed today, just in the packing and preparation for the cold weather, making sure I took the right clothes with me, and I'm just not even sure I'm prepared for negative anything. So that's just a whole different monster, man. And just full transparency here. I've got to go straight from Syracuse over to Jersey. Had a family member pass away. I think I spoke about that last week. So I'm heading over to that service. So I'll be up in the cold for a little longer than I want to be. So yeah, we're doing that, man, and that, that's going to be a rough week, man, to dealing with that stuff. But today's show, man, is one of those. Today's workshop, I should say, is one of those things that we talk about all the time, and man, we are absolutely funny or weird about this stuff. How the gallows humor, and we. I mean, isn't it like a survival technique, Chris? Is that a good way to put it for us? It's kind of one of those things that we use, man, to kind of get through some of that bad shit. And I'm really quick. thinking about a story you once told me, Chris, and if you can tell a story about a homicide you came upon, and the guys were in a truck, I believe it was like a van or a truck, and you
Yeah.
were badass homicide.
Badass homicide
Yeah,
detective.
go ahead, man. I'll let you take it on.
So yeah, it's a coping mechanism. It's one of those it's those things, if we weren't laughing we'd be crying kind of thing. There's a couple things that come up. So I was very new to homicide. Me and my partner were driving around, probably get something to eat or whatever, and we heard a call go out for it was shooting in progress, and it was around the corner from where we were. And so we're like, oh shit, we're right here. So we book around the corner, we head up over there. You could still see the gun smoke, and you see this one like a Ryder or U-Haul truck, like all shot up. So everybody's kind of scattered. It's in the projects and stuff. So everybody's kind of scattered. I had run up to the truck. I'm like, all right, let me see what's going on. Was it robbery or whatever? And I say that robbery, and this is part of the humor, is if I talk to somebody after they've been shot, one of the first questions I would always ask them was, what'd they take? Because if they took something, robbery's got to take it. so I was like, all right. That was the only question. And we used to race out of the like if we were in the office, if there was a shooting that gone out or robbed or something like that, we'd haul ass, because if the first one to get there, robbery like they didn't try to take anything, did they? And they'd be like, nah, or we'd be like, what they take? So so we get there, and the truck it's a little bit higher, right? So I climb up in there, two dudes just laid out, like in the truck. I'm a homicide guy, kept my cool. We get on radio, like, be advised, this is unit, and I when you put out your number, everybody knows who you are. So I'm like, this is unit so and so. Go shows here on the scene. We got an active homicide and blah blah blah. As I'm on there, this fucking guy leans up, like scares the shit out of me. So mind you, I'm a brand new homicide detective. I've been doing detective work for a while, but I'm a brand new homicide detective. I roll up on an actual shooting where there's, the guys, everybody's injured and shot and whatever. And I call out that this guy's if anybody should know who's alive or dead, should be a homicide detective. This guy like leans up, scared the shit out of me. And I was like, disregard, he's alive. And everybody's like, what the fuck? So by the way, I got home, not home, but I got back to the office. Bro, it was not people like laying in their chairs like they're dead and be like, oh, I'm alive. Fucking hilarious, man.
But you know what's funny is that now just imagine. I mean, you can't. You had to be careful telling that story to John Q. Public.
Yeah,
because they see that differently, right? I mean, and that's just one of the things. Cause basically, you did run up. You came up upon a shooting scene. You came up upon a guys that were shot. This happened to not die, but these are guys that are shot. It's a serious scene, and you talk to John Q. Public, man. They don't kind of understand us making the joke out of it, and you're saying it's a coping mechanism. Expound on that a little bit.
So I'll tell you, it's a better example of it. We were digging up at Ground Zero, and it was me and I think I've mentioned this to you guys. I think you guys know this before, but we were digging at Ground Zero, and a buddy of mine who's a former Marine, we came up to help out, and he brought his old fatigues, like his old kit that he used to wear. Good for him that it still fit. I mean, it didn't fit great, but it fit his BDUs. So he's over there. I'm about 16 to 20 feet down in the hole, and we're working on trying to clear some debris and get some stuff like that because there were some voids or whatever. And he's got a K12 saw above me, cutting rebar, but he's standing so that his crotch is like right above me here, and he's just sawing away, and it's just raining like metal and shavings and the sparks and everything like that. And it was me. It was from our department. LA was out there, different LA Fire PD and stuff like that. Sheriff, Utah, like Urban Search and Rescue. FDNY guys were out there. NYPD guys. It was a good mix of like a whole bunch of different people. And so we're all like kind of, now mind you, we're digging on the collapse of the Trade Center. So we were there for, I think, but at that time we'd been there like 16, 17 hours. And I look up and I said, hey, fucking Private Ryan, do you want to slow down working your goddamn saw? Because he was like that. So he was like, he would like dip his ass on my head like this. So I'd punch him in the in the nuts, and we were just like goofing around. So we're joking around because if you think about what we're doing, it's pretty heavy. So Utah was using a pole cam, and they found what may have been the remains of a first responder. We went from laughing hysterically, joking each other, and jive and all this to dead. I mean, it was quiet. You can hear a pin drop, and there's a bunch of stuff that goes on when we were digging. Like the whole site kind of shuts down, and then it was probably an hour or two where we were just kind of sitting in quiet, and because we got to wait for whoever it is or the remains for that firehouse or whatever it is to come and collect the remains and do all that good stuff. And so we were just kind of like sitting there, and we had come out of where we were. We couldn't get to initially to where we were going to because the engineers were like, it's unstable. You can't cut this because it's not shored, and very dangerous kind of environment. So we kind of stepped out and we were taking a break, quick water break and stuff like that. And while we're sitting there, just you're kind of revisiting all this horrible shit that we just saw. My buddy starts like coughing, like the guy, unfortunately he passed. Rance started coughing and hissing, and I'm like, you all right? And we're around dust and all that shit. he's like, yeah. And then somebody next to him starts like snot coming out of their nose and blah blah blah. And I'm like, what's going on? And I look over, his entire side of his pants were orange because this asshole decided to bring his duty belt that had Capstone on it and he punctured it when we were drinking in there. So when we were hanging out or we're just sitting there drinking waters and so now everybody around us is coughing. And one of the guys that was because Department of Sanitation was out there in trucks, like moving people around. One of the guys out there is like, what the fuck is going? And so everybody starts laughing. I said, this asshole decides to bring caps, and we were just joking around. That's what it was. I mean, we were stressed. We were emotionally just physically exhausted. And if we thought about the fact that we weren't trying to save anybody. We were just trying to pick up dead people. We're recovering people. That's a heavy kind of thing to do. So we kind of joked around a lot. Anything that kind of got in our purview, we made fun of, or we joked, and we're like, "Oh, hey, look, this guy's bringing this capstone. Like, what do you need capstone when you're digging?" Right. Or somebody would joke like, "Hey, can you face the other way because the buttons on your shirt are like gonna kill me?" And it's a whole bunch of different things kind of going on at once.
To me, it just knocks the edge off just a little bit, right? And that the problem is, and this is where, and I remember this story distinctly, and it was a horrible scene, a homicide scene. Guys had gone in and just shot a whole apartment up, and everybody in there, was dead. So just a bunch of dead people in there, and they had whatever food. It was burgers and fries and stuff. They had just gotten some food, and the shooting happened, and we get there, and somebody was talking about we would get some lunch, and of course they got some burger and fries in there. You can go get some of those, and so we started laughing,
Yeah.
But fucking what happens, right? The person that doesn't know what the hell's going on, but there is two breezeways over, sees you laughing and don't realize that we're just trying to knock the edge off of just a horrible scene that we did.
One of the things that I hated the most, this is going to sound, I guess, callous to people who don't know what we do and stuff like that, but I really didn't have that much feeling towards like anybody between like the ages of like 18 to like 40 something getting killed. It's horrible. A little bit. What bothers me is like kids and older, our older community, the elder community, and when you walk into a house, you walk into a house that was distinct the older combat veteran, because when you walk into their house, they're older generation, you could see that everything, all the medicines lined up, and you're like, oh shit. Like we're walking in here, this guy was a former Marine. He got dressed up in his uniform, laid down in his bed, took his 45 and put it underneath his chin and pulled the trigger, and put the better part of his head all over the wall and on the ceiling. And there were notes there and this and that. And so just to give, for folks that don't understand, that type of situation normally is attributed to that generation doesn't like to burden anybody, and they feel like they're getting sick, and I believe he was terminal with something, but he didn't want to be a burden to his family. His job as the man in the house was always to take care of his family. He had lost his wife and there's a bunch of other stuff, but it's sad. It's really sad. So I give my lieutenant a heads up, and I said, hey, just be advised, it's going to be a confirmed suicide of older vet. He's like, all right. And he's like, hey, you guys doing okay? And we're like, yeah, we're doing all right. So there's about 4 or 5 kind of in this guy's house. Again, looking at medicine, looking at maybe if there's a note that he left, who to contact, and this and that, blah, blah, blah. And it's just very, we started talking about just like anybody, like food. Like, all right, hey, listen, when we get up here, let's go sit down, grab something to eat, and blah, blah, blah. A lieutenant walks in. While our lieutenant walks in, one of the guys finds a note with some information on a next of kin. So I think it's like a brother-in-law or a daughter or some close family member. So he's like, hey man, I found a number. I'm going to go call him. So that person goes to call one of the detectives. So while it's happening, the lieutenant walks in. This is all happening at the same time. The lieutenant walks in. He was always immaculately dressed, but he's got a pressed white shirt. I mean, beautifully pressed suit. He's coming in there. He's like, all right, man, what do we got, guys? And so he's sitting there. And while he's standing there and we're talking, a piece of the brain falls off the ceiling and lands on his fucking shirt. And I'm looking, and he doesn't move. He's like, yeah. The whole experience was like, yeah, this is my life now. I've got a piece of this guy's brain on my fucking shirt. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Again, horrible situation. We're like, are you shitting? And so we started laughing and this and that. It's not about that guy. It's about the circumstances. What we didn't realize is that our guy was on the phone, and he grabs the phone. He's just like, could you shut the fuck up? I'm on the phone with the family. And I kept on, and that kind of like stifled it a little bit until he got off the phone. Then we were just like joking and stuff like that. And then it became all about like, hey, LT, who's your dry cleaner? Or hey, do they get brain out? I mean, it was, but for me, like I hate going to those like the older suicides and different generation, like 60s plus, and it was.
Let me ask you this, Doug. So like in any situation, you go to a scene and we're doing what we do and we're making light or making fun or having a laugh, maybe in front of a horrific scene or, whatever's going on with your guys. Does that help bonding? Does that help, to bring you guys closer together as a unit?
Yeah, in a sense, it does. It cohesiveness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if you joke about it and I joke about it, then I know it bothers you as much as it. Only a cop would understand that. I only know to be a cop. I'm sure firefighters experience the same thing. Anybody that goes on to that particular type of scene. And so, that just shows that it's a bonding thing to go, okay, that bothers you. But there's also the component of, as what Karen used to call me, serious Doug. There's this serious role, because like Chris said earlier, as you know, Raul, when we were on the teams, you can never high five, you can never pat anybody on the back, you can never give knuckles, and this even goes for supervision. But in the world we were in, that was unacceptable, and so that becomes real difficult when you're serious all the time. You can never say, hey, good job. You just got this bad guy out of the house because, people misconstrue it, or the news could have you in the background and look. And so you build that up, and so there's no outlet for that, and then you have this other traumatic event, and it's the only way that you can see light in it. You can see light in such a horrible thing is in that moment, to let that person know, like, hey, it's okay that this is messed up. We're not laughing at this guy, we're laughing at this situation. And the best people on the planet that deal with this are comedians. Like a great comedian, they have a way of they're not making fun of one particular person. They're like, hey, this situation sucks, so we can sit around and pout all day, or we could just laugh it. It's really the same thing.
It is. It is. I remember just about, and man, almost on every extended scene that I was on. It's different. Just kind of go there and you leave, and that may be, not quite the same. But if you're at a scene for a while, if you're at or something traumatic happened, or whatever the case may be, something that you were involved in, we'd always kind of talk about it, and I can't remember ever not pulling something funny out of it. We would always kind of pull something funny out of it, or it would remind us of something that was funny, somewhere else. And I think that sharing that laughter about what we all knew to be a horrific, traumatic, scene, sharing that laughter built a little bit of a bond, because it's nothing that we can go and share with everybody else.
Yeah.
And there's also there's like the inappropriate humor.
Yeah.
So this is what that looks like. So I was running our peer program.
You froze there.
And I was,
Chris, start all over. You were running the peer program.
You keep freezing up,
right.
Chris.
Am I back?
You're back now. You started the peer program, is all I heard.
Started the peer program, and it was 4:00 in the afternoon, and I hadn't eaten anything all day, and I was getting ready to go get a slice of pizza, and I had just gotten some pizza. I was going to take it home, and I got a call from an assistant chief, and he goes, Chris, I need you to come into work right now. And I said, okay, what do we got? He goes, I have an officer that's threatening to kill himself and his wife. And I said, and because I was tired, and it's a heavy situation, I said, in that order? And I thought that was fucking hilarious. And he was like, what? I said, I'm on my way. Like, went over there, and again, it's serious. And I was, I didn't go home for another day or two after that. But that, like, what do you tell you if somebody's like, hey, listen? So basically, what he told me, he goes, a cop is going to kill his wife and kill himself. Right. But the way he said it was a little bit goofy. And the only thing I could think of was, instead of all the, if he kills himself first, he's like, that's where my mind.
He's good. She's good. Yeah.
Like, it's fucking soft. That's like, there was an old joke, like it was like a bad Polish joke and inappropriate kind of stuff. But the Polish guy breaks into a guy that's sleeping with his wife, and he pulls a gun out, and the guy starts laughing. He's like, well, what are you laughing at? He goes, after me, you're next. Like, he's going to kill himself and then kill him. And the guy's like, whatever. It was that I immediately thought of that joke, what was going on. But it was inappropriate at the time. But could you imagine, like, the general public being like, they just called you about a guy that's going to kill his wife and himself, and you want to make fun of that? Yeah. Because unless you've fucking been there, unless you've experienced that, you don't know what it takes. Because listen, if you want to be serious all the time, it'll kill you. It'll eat you up alive, and you have to have some kind of release. And you got to maintain your professionalism and stay focused on the job. And crying doesn't help at that point. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's just a way to process it. And I'm sorry that some people think that's inappropriate or find it, little crass or just it seems like I don't give a shit. Again,
Yeah.
just kind of
I think and maybe I'm wrong here, but I'm going to kind of generalize a little bit here. But I think everybody does it. And what I mean by that is I think every family does it. In family situations, making a joke of maybe something bad that happened in the family, and because it's a way for them to cope and deal with it. So people forget about that. The jokes that you make behind closed doors, with your siblings, with your parents, with your aunts and uncles, So I think everybody does it to a degree. I think people also think that we're robots, and we don't do that, and they forget that these are things that have to get done, and it does help lighten the load a little bit. It does build, I believe, a bond between the guys that are there with you, the guys and girls that are there with you, because you're saying, and it may be a little bit inappropriate, at the timing of it, the joke may be a little bit inappropriate, but
That's
it's
a
only
situation where it's too soon.
maybe exactly. Maybe the situation is where it's too soon, but it's only for that selected few. It's not, meant for the consumption of general public. So that's where I think that people don't realize that some of the jokes we say we know are only for us.
It's the joke. The joke is not for them. It's intended for the person that's saying it.
Right.
You know what I would also add is if you I would tell somebody, if you ever have a problem understanding why we or they are this way, go to your local police department and ask them if you can go with them to notify a family that their loved one has been murdered. Just do it one time and you'll know why. When you experience that all the time, that's a great reason why you have to form that sort of shield. That's what, I read that book one time. Chris, do you remember? It was the Knight in the Rusty Armor?
Yes.
I said I read the book. I really didn't read the book. I skimmed through it. I'm not gonna lie and say I read the book, but I know the story, and it's about how cops, when they encounter something, they go home and they put more armor on to keep that from happening. And that's a great short read if you're ever into it. It's called The Knight in Rusty Armor, I think, and that's what it kind of explains that. And so that's probably the hardest thing that I think in our career. And if you really want to up your ante, go do it in the Black community. Go do a death notification in that community, or the Hispanic community.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden you got
our Latinos in there. Our Latinos, and we get, it's traumatic either way. It's absolutely. I get your point, man. Point taken, and that'll kind of let you know. Go ahead, Chris. You got something to say?
It's like, but here's what I want to say to exactly what like Doug was talking about. A lot of the humor is racially based. It's gender based and stuff. And again, it's not to make fun of. I'll give you an example of what the race thing looked like. I was in narcotics and we were going to go try to kick the store in, but we knew that they had a mechanism to like get rid of the dope right away. So we had one of our black detectives go up and just to get him to open the door. So the black detective goes up there. We're waiting in like the bushes and like in the side of the house, and they're like, "Yo, who is it?" And he goes, "Paul." We're like, "What the fuck was that?" I was like, "Paul? Like what? Like, why didn't you just tell him your real name?" I mean, like, who?
Yeah.
Our name's gonna be on the arrest paperwork. And it was funny. So we like following that stuff. We dress up like we get all thugged out and dress up in the chains and shit. I'd be like, "Yo, what's up? What's your name?"
Yeah.
Clive or Chadwick. But like it was fucking lit.
Biff or Buffy.
But like anybody else, like looking at that, like it was where were we? Oh, it was Martin Luther King Day, and we were driving around, and but again we're joking with each other, and it's off-color jokes because it's like, and my partner's black at the time, so he's like, are you gonna arrest a black guy today? I said, not on the holiest of black days. I said, no, we're gonna arrest a white guy today. That.
Right.
But it's not intended. We play on the stereotypes. We play on everything. But here's the thing that I don't think people really understand when we talk about stuff like this is because somebody meant in the training we were talking about something like that today, and if I'm not making fun of you, or if we're not making fun of you, or you're not the butt of the joke or anything like that, and then nobody likes you. Like if they, people like respect you and you're in the, I'd say clique, but you're in the community. If people are making fun of you, like after my shooting at a convenience store, at the gas station convenience store, and it was like, I mean, it wasn't too far along after that. This one of my boys comes up to me. He's like, "Hey man, you can tell me." And I'm like, "Tell you what." He goes, "That guy cut you in line." Like I shot a guy, but like. And that really, I mean, the whole thing, I didn't like, like I wasn't in a good place, but that made me, you know what it made me feel? Normal. It made me feel like he's because everybody like walks on eggshells around.
Yeah.
But when he started fucking with me, I was like, oh, I think I'm back. I think everybody's like cool with, like they're not worried about talking to me. I think if he'd have said that and I'd have acted weird, he'd have been like, okay, well, we won't mess with him. But I was like, what? I said, of course he did. You think I'm going to let him get that last lotto ticket? I said, that ain't happening. Not on my watch. And again, just kind of goofing around. The guy, my friend that we were up in, one of my old partners.
Yeah.
We did a drug buy and a takedown, and he and another detective got shot. Paul got shot. And
I think I know who Paul is too. Yeah, go ahead.
You know Paul is. So they had shot, and both of them got shot. Yeah, and they're super tight. And we get back and we're doing like a little quick like debrief on like once everybody gets out of the hospital. This is like maybe 2-3 months later. I take that back. It's like 8 months later because Paul didn't get out of the hospital until like 8 months later. Part of that was we had a guy the one that was shot. We didn't know if he was going to make it. Mm-hmm. He had been in the hospital for so long. Human resources in the city stopped paying him because they thought he was dead. Now that's horrible, right? So we went over there and we went to the hospital to see him. He's kind of recuperating at this point. And we're like, hey, we just want to make sure. He's like, what's up? I was like, nah, I mean, we figured you're dead, or did you quit? Or he's like, what are you talking about? He goes, well, like the city ain't paying you no more, right? So again, joking around, trying to get him back. He's like, don't make me laugh. My side hurts. So we started talking with one of my partners, and we're like, hey, I just want to give everybody a heads up on what exactly happened. We figured it all out. Mm-hmm. And they're like, what's going on? I said, all right, well, Paul was shot. And because this guy is one of the other partners that he was working with, they're super close. He didn't want to get stuck with all the paperwork, so he figured he'd shot himself in the leg. So because my guy was shot in the leg, so he's like he shot himself in the leg to avoid being the only one at work that has to do paperwork. Like, I mean, but that's what it was. It's no different in the military. Military's fucking crazy. Crazy. Yeah. We used to write bombs. Ordnance guys would write stuff like, hey, when you do over on deployment, like, hey, thanks for letting me hang out with your wife while you're deployed, or hey, this one's for you. Or on the front of some of our larger gun systems and stuff like that, they'd be like, face the camera and smile for a good picture. I mean,
right? Just stupid. Yeah. Things that people understand. But now let's because we can talk about this forever. I got like 10 stories on my head. But can it get bad? Can there be a time when even we're like, whoa, like this guy's
Yeah,
joking too much. That joke was a little too far out there. Is that can that happen?
yeah, it does. It does. It's it's usually the folks that are having a hard time processing something.
Mhm.
Um, it's fun. It's crazy. There was an episode of NYPD Blue that talks just about that. There's just one guy who lost a lot of his money, and this I just used the NYPD Blue episode, but this happens in real life. But
Yeah, man, you're old, man.
yeah, I am old. Lost a lot of money. By
Uh,
the way, somebody in the class started in 2019, so
really?
like a
Wow.
year after I retired.
Wow.
So he had lost a lot of money gambling. He had a problem gambling. Family life was in shambles. He would stay work late and all this good stuff. And what he was doing was, because he just didn't know how to process it, he would go into the booking area and take orders from the people that got locked up. Like, hey, we got to pay. We got to bring you food. Is there something you'd like? And he would be taking like restaurant orders from people locked up. And the desk sergeant comes up. He's like, hey, listen, it was funny at first. He's doing this all the time. And he's
Right.
riding these people up. And when they don't get their food or their filet mignon or he'd be like, do you want lobster? He goes, can I get lobster and steak? He goes, why not? And so he was overcompensating by trying to like be funny and the joking guy. And that happens a lot at work. You'll people that never take anything seriously
Mhm.
because they are having a hard time processing, because it's a lot easier to poke fun or make jokes or like get out of my face or be an asshole to somebody than say, hey, listen, man, I'm hurting, I'm struggling, I don't know what to do. So it's kind of like you just lash out in the only way you know, and it's making jokes and it's inappropriate for those things.
Is it an avoidance of just
I think sometimes it is an avoidance, but I think another way it's they're no longer able to avoid it, and it's either cry or be angry or lash out or joke. And so for those situations, because normally they do it in public, they do it in like a group of people. It's never like a one-on-one kind of thing. You got to take those people to the side and be like, hey man, what's going on? And I will tell you, more often than not, when you pull them to the side and like, hey man, what's going on? They break down.
Yeah.
And then you really see like they were trying to put on this mask of, I'm all right, I'm just jokey guy. And then they're fucking hurting. And then when you get them alone, you're like, you're in a safe space. Nobody's looking at you. They're not paying attention to you. What's going on? I lost everything. My wife's gone. My husband's gone. Whatever it is, whatever, relationship, the finances. I'm not going to be able to go back to work because of this or that, and blah blah blah. So it's just a mechanism that they use, and it comes in different in different forms and shapes. I'm real cautious, and I don't ever want to like point that out in a large space where everybody's kind of looking.
Right.
Or somebody, I see that a lot with like, there was a kid that got a DUI, an officer that got a DUI, and was suspended but was on administrative duty at the precinct. And I went over there to see him. I'm like, hey, I said, hey brother, how are you doing? You holding up okay? He goes, do you need me to drive you somewhere? I know a good bar. And I'm like, you're on the desk, right? You're admin. You're probably looking to get fired because there was an accident with injury. I said, you're joking about that here? Like I mean, okay, cool. So I'm talking to him. He's like, what do I do? He goes, I'm stuck here. I'm probably gonna lose my job, or I'm gonna do this. I can't support my family. My wife already left me, a year ago, and I'm paying child support. Well, if I lose this job, I'm not gonna be able to pay it. If I get locked, I mean, so he's like, the one thing he knew to do, he's like, I'm just gonna, hey, anybody need a designated driver? I can't drive. Or anybody need me to do something? I don't have a gun. Like he like making those jokes.
Yeah, it reminds me of that cynical guy too, Doug. You know that guy, and Doug, is being a SWAT commander, you get that guy that just freaking is joking too much, or just cynical, just that negative, type attitude, and just, I mean, how do you approach him? How do you get him? And again, it's a little bit of a different environment being a tactical guy. So how do you deal with that?
because some people use it as a tactic.
Yeah.
There's a fine line in using that kind of dark humor and that stuff as a tactic to get the job done. So you can stay in the mindset, because if I don't use this tactic and I don't use this mindset, then I'm going to veer off into emotions, and I'm not allowed to use emotions in this job. You can, but only can't show it, and you can't express it, and you can't share it with the people. So it becomes a tactic. But the like kind of like what Chris said earlier, you got to pull them aside and say, hey, are you okay with this stuff? I know you joke about it a lot, but are you okay with it? And say, hey, I always took my guys and always reminded them, hey, I need to remind you, man, we got to remain professional. Don't, you never know who's listening. I would kind of use that tactic, but yeah, it happens. It happens a lot. It was it was definitely different in the SWAT capacity than it was in the patrol capacity. And then, worst people that I dealt with actually were like sex crimes and ICAC people. They're in a whole different realm of gallows humor, if that's the term you're using it. They actually tell some of the dirtiest jokes you've ever heard in your life.
My God, yes.
That is their mecca. Because we all know what that job consists of. I was involved in it in my career, and it's a deep dark hole to travel down. But that's where I saw it the worst. But in the SWAT capacity, yeah, you have to pull that professional mechanism out and pull them aside and say, hey, man, it's good to do that, but it's not good to do it all the time.
Right. Well, first of all, the ICAC thing, I kind of forgot about them, but you are absolutely, right. Them are some of the nastiest, but when it comes to jokes, they say some of the most just out there jokes in their mind, but you get it. Like everybody that knows one, and people the ones that have been doing it for a while, and you hear their jokes, you understand. Like, wow, I'd never say that, but I'm not in that world, So and like they're not in ours, So
Let me let me ask you something.
Yep.
Because I think this also applies to it a little bit. There was a couple of things that when we went, we had done some search warrants. We were getting ready to kick the door in on some pretty heavy hitters. And there were certain scenarios where we were like, there's a high chance that somebody's going to get hurt or killed on this. I mean, it is, we have to do what we have to do. And there's been a couple like hostage situations and stuff like that where, and I remember like right beforehand, a couple of us were like, all right, if I don't make it, someone delete my entire computer history. like someone clean out my locker, somebody do all this stuff. And I remember thinking about it, I was like, you know what? I think part of it is, yeah, it's a little bit scary, and we're doing that. So it's maybe not so much that we're gonna cry or we're sad, but it may be nerves and scary, and then you're like, rather than be like, oh my God, I'm afraid, like kind of get that anxious nervousness out of you. But you talk about something on your way to the Pulse that you kind of come, you kind of get, you kind of become okay with understanding that we're probably not going to come out of this.
Yeah.
And there, I think sometimes we do a little bit of humor. Like when you're past it and you're like, oh shit, we didn't die.
Right.
I think rather than going, oh my God, we almost, we start cracking jokes.
Right.
Like a purge. I mean, is that kind of jiving?
Absolutely. We had plenty of jokes for Pulse and people that don't know, Pulse is a gay nightclub. So that just kind of lended itself to some jokes there, that again, were a little off color that I would never repeat in a mixed audience, but it helped for a little bit, just kind of hey, we got through this, and that bond, it makes it even tighter. I think what I was, and you guys have kind of talked about is, I guess, I, I believe that the gallows humor is absolutely necessary for what we do in dealing with it. I think the uh, the point that we got to also make sure that we emphasize is that we want to make sure there's not a numbness, and then just we lose compassion and those type things. So we've got to. It's great to go ahead and use humor to cope, but not to the point where you're just not feeling anymore, and those type things. That's what I was trying to get. That makes sense.
Yeah. You know what?
Yeah, I, go ahead, Doug.
I was just saying, sometimes it can be used to a benefit. And a lot of people don't realize this, but the three of us, for the people that are watching and listening, the three of us have seen each other speak so many times we can do each other's presentations. And we know each other so well that we can see tones in our voices, body gestures that we're struggling telling the story, which amazes me. People think it's cool being up there. It's never cool. And so a lot of times we will say shit to each other, interrupt the presentation. And I'm going to take a sidestep here. The greatest example I have is the time Raul was speaking about Pulse, and Chris goes, "Thank God you were there dancing that night." Do you remember that? And some people probably like, because it's Pulse, right? It's not funny, but Raul laughed.
Yeah.
And Chris achieved what he was trying to do. He was trying to say, Raul, tell the story, but don't come away from there. Come to the light. Don't relive the moment.
Heavy. Yeah, it gets
Yeah,
heavy.
it's heavy. So, in that moment, I'm sorry for using that example, but
No.
that's one.
It's perfect example, man. Perfect example. And I think that's what is done. Like, if we don't use the humor, if we just stay robotic, if that's the right word, I'm not sure if it's the right word, but if we stay robotic and just hold it in and completely professional throughout all of it, man, I just don't know how much any person could take without breaking, and that just truly exploding on you. I think that those jokes are a way for us to take that pressure valve and just take a little pressure off, right? To make sure that we don't explode. That's why I think that humor, helps.
There was there was a guy, he passed, police officer, he died of cancer, and he was in remission for a little bit, and it was getting bad, and he had come out. We were over in K9 at the time. The guy, he'd come out, and some family members had come out, and kind of sad. It was, seeing somebody kind of wither away a little bit and just kind of not be themselves anymore like that. And we were outside, and I remember thinking, I'm like, this is super heavy. And he's not wearing a hat. I said, for Christ's sake, man, put some fucking suntan lotion and wear a hat. You're gonna get cancer. And he just lost it. He started laughing. He's like, yeah, that's a good idea. I could get cancer and stuff like that. But it was one of these things where, like, it was so heavy.
Mhm.
But it wasn't like, hey man, you're bringing me down. Let's lighten it up. It was heavy, and it needed to get some levity. And I do it all the time. Like with my mother-in-law was sick and she was in the hospital. My dad's sick and in the hospital, and he's had chemo before, and so his hair's kind of gone a little bit. And I said, he's got like 3 hairs that are kind of going over that. I said, hey, you want to brush your hair before we go outside? You look like a mess. And he's like, a couple things. He's like, number 1 or number 3? Which one am I doing? So while we're doing that, and I think I was telling you guys last time, we were doing, we were going through radiation treatment, and he had where it was a bad place to bandage up where some of the cancer was, and I said, can we get this taped up a little bit more and stuff like that? I said, I mean, the least thing you could have done is, because I joking around with him, I was like, you could have at least got cancer in a place that we could have easily bandaged up, and without missing a beat, he's like, I do. He's got 2 other forms of cancer going on. And so he's like, yeah, it turns out I do got 2 cancer. So it's these heavy situations that sometimes we use it to cover up being upset. Sometimes we use it to bring us out of being upset. And sometimes we use it to cope and to hide what's going on. So it's not just one thing. And I think like we've all kind of touched base on all those different things that it can be. But it's
So let me ask you guys this. Do you bring the gallows humor home?
oh yeah. Yeah, unfortunately we do. Unfortunately we do. And it depends on what home is. Like okay, Jill is a cop, so Gallows humor comes from all the time. That's fine, but
it doesn't work well in my house.
No.
Right. No. I was just gonna say, so it's not a definitive answer. There's not a yes and no on that one, right? For general answers I'm trying to get at. It's going to depend on your household. I think I would bring the humor home, but some of the details, you're kind of carving out some of the gory details, and I'm bringing the funny stuff home. Like, hey, horrible scene today, but there was food around and we got hungry, and I may not say what the horrible scene was, just that there was a horrible. And when I saw the French fries over there, I was thinking, McDonald's might not be so bad today. So, that kind of thing. So, but yeah, I think all of us in some kind of way got to bring it home. And let me ask you this to bring it further. Is that healthy?
Yeah, I don't know. I think anything in moderation, like as long as it's not the go-to or you're just defaulting to that. I think as long as you can make jokes, but it's time to be serious, or just maybe I don't want to hear the joke. Maybe I want to hear what your day was like instead of just you joking around. Because and you just talking in like 3 seconds, I have like 500 stories of where something inappropriate happened at work, and I come home and I said it, and then when wife said, she's like, yeah, okay, relax. It's not, but it's in the context of I was hanging out with my friends and we were doing work, and so I think anything in moderation. But I think having a conversation of like, sometimes things get rough, and I gotta throw a little humor on it, because otherwise it's a miserable existence. And some people don't want to hear it. Like in certain households, the spouse is like, I'm not about that. They're not about talking about like what you decided to eat while you were waiting for the coroner's office or the ME's office to come pick up a guy that's been dead, melted to his couch in the middle of the summer because they had no AC. And the one guy that we were talking about, my sister, or not my sister, but I got a cousin asked me what happened at work or blah, blah, blah. I said, we went to go lift this guy up and his arms fell off. So we put it and just rolled him up like a human burrito and come out. And I was like, it's funny. And he goes, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, wrong place.
Yeah. Wrong place. Yeah. Wrong place.
Chris, you always say this the best when you're talking about bringing the humor home. You always say when you come in, however, do you want the rated R version, or do you want the
version of the Disney version?
Yeah, and and you say that with a little joking undertone, because most of our shit is X-rated and R-rated, but that's really the best way to explain it. Like I had my very first traumatic. No, I shouldn't say first. I do now. My Christmas Eve story. When I came home that day, man, I didn't know what to say. I was a new cop. And so I just blurted it out. And obviously, my starter wife, she wasn't prepared for it. She couldn't handle it. So then her reaction to my reaction, I never came home and talked about my job ever again. Probably not until later in my career, when I was with Karen, I was able to communicate better, and I was older and mature. So that could be a double-edged sword. You're right. It could be good, and it could be really bad not having it.
So I think the point here is that you've got to, we don't have the answer for everybody here. You've got to find your way in your household and what works
Yeah.
Your situation's a little bit different. You may have a wife that's a captain in a police department. You may have a school teacher at home. You may have a banker at home. So you got to figure out how you can talk about the things and how you can use that humor at home. It's not going to be the same for everybody. So and that's just in every part of communication with your spouse. When you're talking about the first responder world, you got to find your way, and that's always true for everybody. So but hey guys, we're coming up on time here, man. So, and I'm still freaking out about packing. So, so with that,
I quit halfway through it. I got so stressed out because I just don't know how to prepare. So I did my fail safe. We went to Alaska last December, and so I went and retrieved my Alaska kit. So I'm like, hey, if it worked for Alaska, it can work for here.
It's got to work for Syracuse, yeah, for sure, man. Especially if it's freaking -4. I can't imagine.
Oh, and just FYI, when you get out of that airport at Syracuse, it's wide open, so it is cold.
Oh, yeah. The wind is just ripping. I can imagine.
30 degrees colder.
Hey, do you remember that movie, Cool Runnings?
Yeah.
With the Lincoln bobsled team?
Yeah.
I envision when they get out of the airport. You remember when they come out of the airport in Calgary?
Yeah.
It's pretty close to Canada.
We're up there, man. We're up there. Syracuse is up there, man. So
it's gonna be pretty horrible.
With that, man, let's go around the horn, man. I'll turn to you first, Doug. What you got, man?
Ah, man, just a really good conversation. That's a hard one. It actually is a hard thing to talk about and to understand and to make it explainable. But I appreciate the conversation. That's an interesting one. And I'll just say this: whatever it is that you need out there to help you express yourself, keep in mind that you're the most important person to yourself. So whatever you got to do, work hard to find a way to express yourself. Don't hold it in. You got to let it out in some way, and just find the way that works for you.
Absolutely, man. Well said. Chris, man, what you got, my brother?
No, nothing. Just appreciate. I think there was a comment or maybe a response that somebody was laughing about something. Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't know when that is because it's a different platform and stuff like that. But I just want to put out, I appreciate, especially this time of year, I appreciate everybody that watches and ask questions or whatever they're looking for. We did get somebody sent something in about they wanted to see what a different perspective was like. So I was just I hope we're here to kind of shed some light onto some of the things that maybe people don't want to normally talk about. And we're just an open book. So anything we could do to help you guys, and thank you for supporting us. But if you need something, just give us a shout. We're always here for you guys.
Absolutely, man. Well said. Well said. And as always, I want to thank Marky, our boss, for doing what she does behind the scenes. Thank you, Marky. And also, anybody, when you guys see the replays, check us out live. Have any suggestions or you want to hear of a certain topic, want to hear us talk about a certain topic, any questions, send them in to us. We are more than happy to talk about it, tackle it, and find some people, if it's not us, that can help talk about it. So absolutely get with us. And like always, if you or anybody you know struggling and needs some help, our information will be on the credits. Reach out to us. We will get back with you. And with that, have a good night.